Hey, Dana.
Hey, Bucky.
I have to ask you a question. As a working mom in today's world, especially with everything that's going on, how do you take time to relax?
Well, I just take baths or go on long walks or just look at my phone for a couple hours.
Do those things work for you?
No.
They don't. Well, I'm glad that you say that because I actually have something that might help.
Oh, okay. What's that?
CBD.
CBD. What?
Yes, CBD. Have you heard of it?
I have, but I have not dabbled.
Well, that's great because this episode's actually sponsored by Two Tours CBD. They make everything from oils to tinctures to sugar. Do you like cooking?
I am a woman.
Well, you can use some of their CBD sugar in your recipes that will help you relax and take away stress. It'll help you sleep better at night. It'll help you get over the fact that the world we are living in is not necessarily the one we want right now.
All right. Well, I will start baking.
So what you want to do is you want to go to twotourscbd.com/raising Nashville to get your special offer on CBD today. Two Tours CBD. We came home together. We grow together.
Dana, when's dinner gonna be ready?
Raising Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville, raising Nashville.
Welcome to Raising Nashville. I'm Bucky.
Juice box.
Wait.
Dana.
Well, before I was going to introduce our special guest this week, I was waiting for Juicebox's classic beer open.
Yeah, I mean, it felt weird not doing it, but I think the reason I didn't do it has something to do with this episode.
Absolutely.
And it's not about sobriety.
I hope not. I don't know if we can be friends if that path is crossed.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's weird. But for all of you out there, this week we get to do something that is extremely close to our hearts as parents and spirits lovers. And that is sample beer. Yes. So we had to bring in a special guest this week to help us with these heavy hitters and Nashville local favorites. Juicebox's wife, friend of the show. She's been on multiple times. In fact, she actually took over our podcast once.
Yes, I did. I did a pretty damn good job, too.
It got a lot of downloads.
How many?
A lot more than typically we get.
More than just our parents.
While we have done episodes sampling Jack Daniels and even hot chicken, there was a lot of lip smacking in that one. This week, we are going to do something that really takes place on a nightly basis in all of our households. No, at least mine.
Okay. I wouldn't say nightly here, but go ahead.
Okay, on a nightly basis in my household, I like to consume beer. And you try to get outside of the typical beers that people drink in their homes. We're talking about big beer, Bud Light, Budweiser, Coors Light, Miller Lite. And
Man.
for me, Founders is kind of a thing.
I know you love Founders, but you have to drink like 40 to catch a buzz, so it defeats the
You
purpose.
do.
Yeah.
Coming in at like 4.6 alcohol per volume, those beers, you can drink them literally all day.
I think it says so in the name, right? All day IPA.
Yeah, I should have read into that, right?
Yeah.
I'm
You're like,
Says it on the label.
This week we're going to highlight our favorite 5 breweries in Nashville. And we're going to give you the background on each and even rank their beers towards the end of the show. But first, I am going to let Juicebox do something that he skipped during his introduction, which is his classic. So without further ado, let's just kick this off. We are going to review 5 local breweries here in Nashville. We're going to start with Tailgate, which actually didn't start in Nashville.
hold on a second. What are we going to call this episode?
Oh, I did not even put a thought into that. I was too excited about drinking beer.
I think I've got an idea.
Okay.
Hey, excuse me, what IPA do you have on tap?
For our listenership out there, tell them what that is from.
It's from Atlanta. You guys out there that have seen it probably know what it is.
I think we're going to use that soundbite a few times in today's episode because I am in love. I'm smiling from ear to ear. Anyway, today we're going to highlight 5 breweries in Nashville. Tailgate Brewery. We're going to go down off Lafayette Street to Tennessee Brew Works. We are going to sample our favorite Germantown local beer, Bearded Iris.
Yep.
And then a East Nashville, now West Nashville, actually all of Nashville favorite, Southern Grist Brewery. And then finally, we're going to wrap up today's episode with the godfather of Nashville beers, the one who's been here seemingly the longest, and that is Yazoo Brewery.
What up?
What up?
Madtown.
So, again, without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Today, we are going to sample IPAs from each one of these breweries. We are going to rank them based on taste. We're also going to do a ranking of atmosphere of brewery, and then maybe some fun stuff there towards the end. But before we start, let's get into Tailgate Brewery. Beginning in San Diego and moving to Nashville in 2014, Tailgate Brewery kind of began as a Walmart-sized brewery off Charlotte Pike.
I never went to that location.
Yeah.
My wife and I did one time, and it was massive. Like, you pull up, and it's like, did this used to be a Kmart?
Right.
Because normally you think of breweries in Nashville, small places. Even Yazoo, the biggest one, it was kind of small. Now it has kind of grown into a behemoth out in Madison, but the original Tailgate Brewery was massive off Charlotte Pike. Now they've grown into, like, they're at the top of Demumbrian, where like the Dan McGinnis bar used to be.
Oh yeah.
And now they have one in East Nashville on Gallatin Road.
I've been to that little tap room a couple times. It's solid. I've been up there to watch a couple games like a couple times, but it's a good little spot.
Games. I didn't even think about that.
Remember
Yeah.
those?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember sports.
Anyway, Tailgate Brewery brews many types of new and seemingly endless chalkboard listing of their own beer. Even, I think at one point back in the day, they had a hot chicken IPA, which was basically beer with, cayenne pepper just to kind of thrown in.
Man, that was a gimmick. That shit was not good.
They tried to implement themselves from San Diego to Nashville by creating a beer that is true Nashville.
Yeah, they failed.
Anyway, like I said, they have expanded to 3 locations around the city and continue to serve up new and innovative beer, as well as their staples like the Peanut Butter Milk Stout and Southeast IPA. That is what we are going to be trying today. Without further ado, again, we are just going to take a sampling of each one of these beers. We will save the heavy drinking till after this podcast. That might save our listenership a little bit of a headache listening to us slur through words.
And us some embarrassment, I'm sure.
Have you guys had this one before?
I didn't. I honestly, before we started writing for this podcast, I thought the West Coast IPA that I drink quite a bit, like at bars like Noble's, was Tailgate, and it's not.
So I'm going to be
She's more
honest,
fun.
straight off the bat, I haven't sampled this yet. I have not traditionally been a fan of tailgate brews.
I kind of keep going back and forth. I think when they originally opened, I thought some of their stuff was good. They were also sourcing or selling other products when they were in that Walmart-sized brewery off Charlotte Pike. They were doing a lot of Yazoo out there, especially the sour brands of Yazoo, which I fell in love with.
Oh, right.
But
Embrace the Funk, they had that on tap?
they did have that on tap, which was rare back then. But their peanut butter milk stout gains a lot of traction. Again, this Southeast IPA, I don't know if I've had this, so I'm going to go ahead and give it a sample and see what I think.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I like it. It's not super citrusy like some IPAs are.
There's a bit of a haze on it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit thicker than you would think that would come out of a can.
That's like every IPA now, though. Everybody's going like either completely unfiltered or whatever the unfiltered thing is, so it's like they're all cloudy.
Sure. This is 6.2% APV, so it is a little bit higher than the Founders that I drink on a daily basis. The can is pretty cool. It's a pickup truck with a guitar in the back. It says Southeast IPA. It's got the 3 little stars and the P for the state of Tennessee. So they are on brand, so to speak. But that's a pretty good beer. I'm getting kind of a aftertaste, kind of like it lingers with you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
It's
say.
a little bitter aftertaste.
It is, yeah.
It doesn't. It's good on the front end. On the back end, it kind of sits there and says, "Hey, you just drank me."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget.
Like, as I drink this and try to describe it, I'm realizing that I am not a food critic. I don't have the palate to describe
Yeah.
this, so sorry, listenership. You're going to sound you're just gonna have to listen to a dummy drinking beer.
That's fine. Everybody has their own palate, and that's why we have 3 different types. They say that women have better palates than men on most food and alcohol.
Who says that?
Obviously.
Okay, well, up next, we've got a brewery that's sitting off Lafayette, just steps from downtown Nashville. It screams innovation and dedication to representing Nashville, not only in their taste, but in the names of their beers as well. With names like Walk the Lime, Country Roots, and Basil Ryman, you can tell that they are committed to carrying on the tradition of Music City, USA. The first brewery in North America to utilize I'm going to butcher this, the Mura Micro Mash Filter. It's number 001 on the serial numbers for these filters that were created with the U.S.-made Ager brewing system. Everybody's got to be creative. To create all of their beers, they foster a brewing process that enhances efficiency and taste, and we are talking about none other than Tennessee Brew Works.
I don't know what any of that means.
Me neither.
Well, that is brewing for you. It's a bunch of big fancy words, and when you often think of IPAs, especially nowadays, you even see written on the side of the can, it's made with Citra and fairy dust and
Right.
all of these leather. Like, it's just these weird words
Fruity
that are
Pebbles.
part of an IPA, or the grains and things that go into the beer.
I think a Citra is a type of hop, right?
Sure. Yeah. Let's preface this by saying we are not beer experts here. We are just tasting this and letting you know what we think.
Yep, just dummies tasting beer.
That's it. That should be the name of the episode, but it is.
Hey, excuse me, what IPA do you have on
I
tap?
told you. That might sneak in a couple of times on this week's episode. Anyway, today we are tasting the IPA from Tennessee Brew Works, Hippies and Cowboys. Now, this happens to be one of my personal favorites in Nashville. I do drink this on a somewhat regular basis. Anytime I'm at Tennessee Brew Works, I'm going to grab a 6-pack to go. Anytime I'm down at the Madison Beverage Warehouse, plug, and they have it inside of the coolers, I'm probably going to grab a 6-pack of that as well. It just kind of helps out from that Founders IPA. I don't have to drink 15 of them. I could probably do 5 and be fine with these.
Yeah, I've had this 1 or 2 times, but right off the bat, like, it doesn't smell as strong as the Southeast IPA.
I like this one. It doesn't feel as heavy. It's quite a bit lighter than the Southeast IPA.
It is an easy beer to drink. It does have a little bit of a higher APV. I think it's on the same as Tailgate Brewery. Let me check the bottle here. But it is kind of a more refreshing summer beer. It doesn't have that lingering taste on the back end. I think it is very refreshing. Again, I am an avid beer drinker, not a reviewer, but I thoroughly enjoy it. It is actually 6% by volume, so it's just a 0.4 below the Tailgate beer. So again, still kind of getting into that, for a casual beer drinker, somewhat higher gravity. Again, casual beer meaning big beer, Bud Lights, Founders,
right.
But it's not getting into that beer lover who is up into the 9s and 10s.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and say that I don't like this beer.
See, I like it better than the previous.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I guess I like it maybe a little bit No, I don't like it better.
All right, before we move on to the next brewery, let's talk about Tennessee Brew Works' tap room for a minute. It is a very open and inviting atmosphere. You have the kind of tiered level outside patio seating. Once you go inside, it's kind of a small bottom floor. Once you get to the top, it opens up. They have a nice deck that overlooks kind of the not so great part of town, but at least you're outside.
Yeah. Yet.
Yeah, true.
Give it a
Until
few
it
years.
grows into something amazing. They do have bluegrass music on Wednesday nights, and they usually have live music pre-COVID 4 or 5 nights a week. They do have massive glass where you can see into the brewery, and their crazy Mura Micro Mash Filter is on display for everybody to see.
I did yoga in front of that filter one time.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't know if they do it regularly, but Steadfast and True used to have yoga classes there, and you got a beer after. So
Nice.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't Tennessee Brew Works the one that was after the tornado? They were taking on like any workers there, like if anybody had lost their job.
They were one of them, yes.
Yeah.
So they do a lot for the community. You can see their beers a lot of, again, we're gonna say pre-COVID, but pre-COVID events around town in Nashville, outdoor events, art events, things like that. You usually see some Tennessee Brew Works logos there, and they usually put some of their beer on tap for sale in trucks. I don't know. They own some trucks too.
Hey, excuse me, what IPA do you have on tap?
Next, we're gonna head on the other side of Nashville, down by the river in an industrial part of town that also happens to be the most expensive place to live in Nashville.
More expensive than the Gulch?
Germantown, I would say.
I guess you're right.
Yeah, at one point this was USA Today's number 4 craft brewery in the country, nestled in between one of the most expensive neighborhoods in Nashville and seemingly in an endless row of industrial buildings sits Bearded Iris Brewery. Garnering multiple national awards and so many top 10 lists, this brewery is actually located in an abandoned theater seat manufacturing warehouse.
This sounds like a Stefan skit from Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, it really does.
It's going to get even better. You wouldn't know it from the humbleness of the owners and operators of Bearded Iris, but they certainly have something to be proud of. From childhood friends to home brewing to Sweetwater Brewing in Atlanta, Georgia, these guys were born for this. Here's another fun fact about Bearded Iris Brewery. This is one of our favorite beers collectively. We visit there all the time. They have an amazing inside tap room with a distinct smell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it smells like a brewery.
Definitely smells like a brewery. It's a great place to go prior to going to Sounds games when they come back, or just an escape from downtown.
I love it because it's like so low key and just like it seems like the couches came from like a thrift store. There's a pool table. There's a Nintendo 64 hooked up to an old school TV. Like, you could go in there and play some Mario Kart.
Well, it's hooked up to a projector and projected on the wall. So it's like
that's right.
5 times as big.
That's right.
It is pretty cool. All the people there are very nice. They make so many innovative type beers, but most of them are IPA. That's kind of where they got their start. Again, one of the 2 people who started Bearded Iris Brewery used to work for Sweetwater Brewing in Atlanta, which was, it's become a big mainstream IPA as of late.
Man, in addition to their IPA, though, they have a Pilsner called Pep Talk that is pretty on point if you're into Pilsners.
I think this was the first beer I treated myself to after we had bear.
Yeah, I think you're right. For some reason, we just went on a Bearded Iris kick, and we're just getting like all their IPAs and double IPAs, and not that we were throwing down crazy, but
well, it felt like I was because when you're sober for 9 months,
yeah,
one
Bearded Iris hits.
One Bearded Iris will make you question breastfeeding.
They do have a lot of high double IPAs. Do they have a triple IPA?
They have a triple home style. Well, they've done a couple triples, but every once in a while they'll have a triple home style, which we're just getting ready to try the regular home style, right?
Yeah, so what we do for the IPA challenge today, so to speak, is we're going to go with the classic thing that they got their name from, or not their name, but they kind of grew their brewery around, which is their homestyle IPA. It's one of the first beers that they did brew. Now you can find it in most liquor stores around Nashville, even grocery stores. It is becoming big. They're distributing in multiple states. Again, when I was talking about this, I said they, at one point, were USA Today's number 4 craft brewery in the country, which is a massive award to garner. And Dana said it kind of sounds like a Stefan story about they did find this property in Germantown, and it did not have a roof on it. So it was just 4 walls and a sky. And apparently the story goes they went into this building and they saw some theater seats, like old movie theaters, like 50s and 60s movie theaters in the corner, and they did some genealogy search on the building, and it turns out that it was one of the only 2 movie theater manufacturing seat companies in the country.
Wow.
That's set right here in Nashville, Tennessee.
Is that where they got those couches?
I don't know. They might have still been in there. But the funny thing, and most of you, if you do know about Bearded Irish Brewery, you know that they come out with new IPAs and new names, and they're pretty creative on their names.
So aren't all their names based on different variations of iris? Because there's so many different like species, or is it species, or what is it when you're talking about plants?
Strains?
Types of flowers.
Yeah.
Types of flowers. That's a good way to put it. What they do apparently is they have a book of irises, and this has about 4,000 different strains. So
Right.
when other breweries have to get creative and name their IPAs and try to name them like or Walk the Lime or things that have to do with Nashville, Bearded Iris takes the easy route and they just open this book and drop a finger. And that is the name of their next,
You think they do it randomly?
I don't know. I've never gotten that in depth in it, but I would like to think so, that they just open the page, flip through it, and drop a finger.
Oh, see, I would like to think they put some thought into it.
So what are you guys getting on?
I give it a 10.
Yeah, I love Homestyle. I love all the Bearded Iris beers. Like, huge fan of all of it. Huge fan of their tap room. It's the best. I just wish it was a little less expensive.
Sure.
But you don't need that much of it.
Not the most expensive on our list, but it is pretty expensive. I think it's good. I think I've drank so much of it that, I'm used to it now, but I could see it's kind of giving me my mouth this dry feeling.
Yeah.
And then on the back end, it's giving my tongue just a tad bit of dryness. On the back end, it lingers with this kind of tart type back end of it.
So I don't get that at all, but maybe it's because I have a sophisticated woman palate.
Yeah,
Better than ours.
I don't get tart either. I do sometimes. I don't get it on this one, but sometimes when I get it on tap, there's almost like a tinge of metallic taste or something, which is like.
I get that. I see that right now.
And I think it has something to do with the unfiltered process or something. I don't know. I'm not for sure because I love Homestyle, but I've had some bad home styles around town.
Sure. They are creative. They do barrel age certain beers. They've come out with some barrel aged stouts. The barrels all are from reputable distilleries in Kentucky like Buffalo Trace. I think they have some Wild Turkey barrels and stuff like that. So they are doing creative things with that and not just IPAs. Some people aren't into IPAs, but they do, like Juicebox said, have Pep Talk, which is a Pilsner.
They've got some stouts. They've got some other stuff on tap. Check out their Instagram for sure, too, because they got some they're creative with their posts over there. All right, so next up we're going to Southern Grist.
Feels like we're going home.
Yeah, I feel like this one is really close to all of our hearts.
Let me tell you all this. I don't think Bucky knows how to pour beer.
Yeah, there's a lot of head on that beer.
Have you ever tried to pour beer while talking on a mic in a podcast room?
Well, you weren't talking right there, and you were pouring it poorly.
It's
Like it's like a 16-year-old's first beer pour.
It's a California pour.
It's still going to taste the same once that head dies
we have to give
down.
it 3 minutes to boil down.
Like Juicebox said, up next is one of our favorite former neighborhood breweries. We say former because we have all, clearly, if you're a listenership to this podcast, you know that we have moved to Madison, but we were formerly in East Nashville for quite many years. During our time there, this little building off Porter Road changed a few times. It was a makeshift type grocery store.
When we first moved here, it was still like a convenience store. And I think somebody got shot out in front of it or something, and then it closed down. And then that's when it was the grocery store / seafood joint or whatever, or like fresh seafood place.
Fresh seafood. That's
And I want
right.
to say prior to that, it was Porter Road
Butcher shop. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it changed over many times we never understood because some of those places have gone on to do good things, like Porter Road Butcher. But inhabited.
Also, we were busy hanging out in the back at France.
We were. We paid
right around
no
the
attention to what was in front of France.
Well, because it was nothing good for the longest time, or nothing you really cared about.
And it wasn't open at 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You're right. It was closed. It wasn't the railroad tracks, and Trina didn't work there. So that's all that mattered to me. But anyway, again, when we lived in East Nashville, this was a newly developed brewery called Southern Grist. We had no idea what it was.
I don't know about you guys, but when I saw that it was like a brewery was going in there, I was like excited, but at the same time, I was like, they're fucked. Like nothing could. It
Nothing
seemed like
works there.
nothing could survive there. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the place that kills businesses.
Right.
Or this is where businesses go to die.
Right.
I completely agree. But on the contrary, this brewery was started by 3 guys in the corporate world, each bringing their own skill to the table. In fact, we can go even further than that. If you look downtown in the Nashville skyline and look up, you'll see a building on the side that reads Service Source.
Yep.
They are one of the leading national companies in inside sales, and these three guys met at Service Source.
Right. They got in like kind of on the ground floor from what I understand about it, right? Like
They did. They were one of the early people into the company. Apparently, they grew with it and ended up hating it. I think at some point that, and combined with all three of their different skills in home brewing, I think the story goes, what I read was, one of them walked into the other one's office one day, quietly shut the door, and said, if I have to do this any longer, I'm going to hang myself. Why don't we start a brewery?
yeah, I mean, because the corporate world, if you're not in the right job, it can be a real drag,
As we all endure some of that on a daily basis, I would say.
Right. But I mean, Service Source, that's way more like cutthroat type business too. I feel like, you're constantly trying to get sales and get numbers. It's like some low down version. It's some poor man's version of Wolf of Wall Street or something.
It could be true. So this idea was conceived in 2014. I think they opened officially in 2016 or 2015. They just passed their fourth anniversary party.
Yeah, 2016 I think is when they opened.
Yeah. So again, this could be the fastest rising favorite among locals in Nashville. Since 2016, they've expanded to 2 locations and consistently collaborate with other breweries across the country to create incredible innovations in beer that are released on a limited and almost weekly basis.
Yeah.
If you follow their Instagram, they are coming out with something new every single weekend.
And the shit is in demand. Like, people are lining up to get it every weekend. I mean, I guess not so much now with COVID, but
sold in 4-packs, growlers, and crowlers. You're right. They constantly have people lining up, taking boxes of 4-packs away.
I mean, I think the beauty of it is like they started so small scale, so they could constantly have so many different types of beer like on tap, but it was just always like changing like every week. You didn't know if you would be able to go and get the same beer that you got the last week, but it didn't matter. There was going to be some awesome new beer to try.
Sure. And they were pretty across the board on a lot of it.
And they're super ahead of the, like, I don't know if ahead of the curve, but like with their kettle sours, like that is like, no one else was doing that, I don't feel like. And that opened the door to sour beer to like so many people.
Sure. And the people who don't necessarily like the barrel-aged sours and the things with a lot of, fermentation, like the back end, what is it? The stuff that sits in there and swishes around. It comes from the barrels.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
don't know the name of it.
Again, we're now 4 beers in, so I'm starting to lose a few things. So I apologize, Southern Grist, but you do your kettle sours, your stouts. They constantly have everything from like pilsners to Belgian style ales to IPAs to pale ales to.
They literally have a beer for almost anybody. Like, whatever your palate is, you can probably find something there that you'll like. I just want to say, too, like, I love that when they've gotten bigger now, but when we first started going in there, I mean, it was just Kevin, Jamie, and Jared. Like, them 3 working with, like, maybe one other person. So it was like, you got to know them on, like, a first-name basis, and, like, I don't know. I feel a connection with that place, and I always will.
Kevin, Jamie, and Jared are the 3 that started it from Service Source, and still occasionally when you're in one of their tap rooms, you might see them behind the bar. Jared's always been kind of the head of production as far as the brewing goes.
Right.
I think that Jamie's the numbers guy, and Kevin is kind of like the GM CEO type of the 3.
Right.
So they've built a good relationship, and again, just like we were saying on the mini beers that they release and create, today we are trying their famed mixed greens, which was, I think, one of their very first IPAs ever.
Yeah.
I talked to the guy today. He said, do you want the number 47 or number 48? So they are on their 48th batch of mixed greens beer in the 4 years that they've been brewing.
Bucky sent me this article from Forbes about Southern Grist that I hadn't read before, and I pulled a quote from it that it's that if they could serve, they figured it out. They crunched the numbers. If they could serve 12,200 beers in their first year, Kevin would be able to quit his corporate job and like come and work for them full times. 6 months into opening, they'd served 100,000 beers.
Insane, right?
That's
Yeah,
incredible.
that is insane. I mean, it just blew up for them,
So
which is awesome. I mean, but they had a great product. You know, it wasn't like a gimmick. Like, they were making solid beers, and they've been able to make them consistently, which is the big part of it.
They also have a great tap room. I think both of their locations are laid back and fun and easy. You know, you can walk in. You also know you can have conversations with whoever is pouring the beer. They'll talk to you about what you like, what you don't like, help you find something. It's very laid back and super family friendly, which at this stage in our lives is
Totally. Our
Pretty
kid threw
important.
up in there for the first time. The first time he ever threw up, like, not spit up, like being sick, threw up. It was all
That
over
was
the floor.
that was the first place that we took our Levon, our 3-year-old, after he was born. Like, that was the one. We're gonna take him finally out in public. I think it was less than that 6-week mark. I mean, I think I was itching. Like 4 weeks out, we were like, let's just take him, set him on the bar,
You
see
just
what
waited.
happens.
You set him on the bar. You just waited like, hey, no one cough on my baby. He hasn't had shots yet.
Yeah.
I wish they had a better outdoor space. That's my only request, Southern Grist.
You don't like their parking lot?
I mean, my child's broken a glass out there, and they were very kind about cleaning it up. But
So the mixed greens was good. Again,
Solid.
it's
But-
always solid.
But I recommend if you haven't, I mean, I don't know who's listening, but if you haven't tried it, try some of their sours.
Yep. All of their beers are extremely good. And while we continue to be on their jocks today during this podcast, I would be remiss to mention the fact that the only downfall or bad side of Southern Grist that I have, and I hate to say this on air, if you guys are listening, I apologize. It gets a little expensive at times.
You're absolutely right.
I think the price has raised over the years. Maybe it has become because of demand. But I walked out today and a 4-pack was $21. To me is a little bit expensive.
yeah, usually it's 18 for a 4-pack.
So today it was $21, and the only other issue I have on that, and I have to touch on it because now we're drinking, and let's be honest, that's what opens up the ideas in my brain, is the fact that when you look at one of those iPads, when you were checking out, and you were buying a 4-pack for $21,
Yeah.
don't display the 18, 20, and 22% tip or gratuity right there in front of me, because when I'm buying a four total beers, I mean, they're tall beers, but they're 4 beers for $21, I don't really feel the need to tip you an additional $8 to walk away with those beers.
I hear what you're saying, but I mean, that's not totally on them. That's the people that design the thing, like that design the iPad checkout system. Like, they just
The
didn't
square.
they just didn't set it up to like have a different thing. Like, that's not on them. You can just hit no tip for something like that.
You could, but you feel like a dick.
Not
or
on just
you
going in and
Not on
buying
retail.
not going in and buying a 4-pack. I mean, even if like tip $1 or something if you're like really feeling generous. But let's be real here.
So that is for the layman will never understand that, is because you have to hit custom, and then you have to type like, the exact amount, and you have to hit enter. It's the same when I go to the Titan Stadium and I'm buying an $11 beer, and that same thing pops up. The 15 people behind me are pissed because it's taking me time to go custom tip $1, enter, and then sign my name.
Yeah.
I think everything, when you're taking it away, it should be $1 per takeaway, 4-pack or beer. When you're there, I agree. Tip the people who turned around and poured your beer.
Yeah, no, I'm not advocating against not tipping. I'm just saying on a carry-out, when you walk in and buy a 4-pack, you don't need to tip 18%.
Sure. I agree. All right. So finally on our brewery episode today, we are going to end with the beginning. We are going to start in the Marathon Motor Works factory building. I bet you guys didn't know that. Then we're going to move over to the Gulch, and then finally settle in our beautiful home off of the river in Madison, Tennessee. Of course, we are talking about Yazoo Brewing Company.
I just drink more of that hippies and whatever.
Tastes like hippies?
It's not good.
good because I've got something for you. That is our Yazoo Brewery. It's seemingly the oldest and most well-known brewery in Nashville. Formerly located in a couple of different neighborhoods around the city. It's settled up here in Madison where we live. Yes, within a mile or two, we have a mega powerhouse in Nashville beer at our disposal. While they mass produce beers, and they have for quite a while, things like the Hot Perfect IPA, actually Yazoo Pale Ale is a big one. Gerst,
Dos Perros.
the Dos Perros. These are things that you're probably going to find at local weddings that you go to. You're going to find on every tap around the city. You'll find in every grocery store, gas station. Yazoo definitely has his imprint on Nashville. And with that said, they've again moved a couple of different locations. This place that they have built in Madison is immaculate.
Yeah, it is an amazing spot. It's got a huge tap room. It's got a really great patio area, huge open. It's been a blessing in this post-quarantine. It's been a blessing in this post-quarantine.
I'm multitasking.
Post-quarantine life because you can go there and seriously, sit. Everybody's wearing a mask if they're inside. You go outside on the patio. No one's really close to you. You can have a beer or two.
I went there on Saturday night, and it was, I wouldn't say it was crowded, just it was quarantine crowded, but there was plenty of space. Everyone was super spaced out, wearing masks. You felt very safe, and we were asked to leave because we closed down the joint. We were there. They were sweeping and said, it's time to go. So
Okay, so you closed down a place after quarantine.
I did.
Nice.
Check
Still haven't done that.
Check that off the bucket list.
Yeah, me neither.
There you go. All right, today from Yazoo Brewery, we are going to taste their Hot Perfect.
Hey, excuse me, what IPA do you have on tap?
While they have a few, especially some session IPAs, I think right now they have the Cala IPA.
That's my favorite. That is my summer beer.
We want to go with the Hot Perfect, which you can find, again, in any grocery store and any convenience store around the city.
I'm not a huge fan of the Hot Perfect. I like it okay, but I think that they have. I think the Cala IPA is better. They had the Hoppery IPA for a little while there. That was better than this. That was more of like an unfiltered style, like the mixed greens or home style. But this is a more clean, crisp IPA.
See, I think because I am a lighter IPA drinker that I do enjoy this. I buy this, again, every other week. I'm not the biggest fan of a Yazoo Pale Ale, which is a staple for Yazoo and has been around for a very long time. I will drink that if it's available.
Yeah, I loved Yazoo Pale Ale when I first moved here. It was like it was a treat, because I had never had it before I moved to Nashville, and it was amazing.
But then it gets kind of...
Yeah, you get over it.
You do kind of get over it over the time. I think Hot Perfect is something that, if it is at an event where I'm at, I will say yes if it's free. And then I'll buy it every other week.
Yeah, this is not my favorite either. And to your point, Juicebox, when we moved here, I think Dos Perros was my go-to for a long time.
Dos Perros is solid. Before we jump off Yazoo, I want to also talk about their Embrace the Funk, their sour beers.
Absolutely.
They were like a pioneer on that. I feel like, they've been doing sour beers for a long time, and they've slowly caught on. Or I guess they slowly caught on. I don't know. But they had, we went to one of their first Embrace the Funk festivals, and there was a decent amount of people there, and now it sells out in like 24
minutes.
hours or something like that.
I think you have to have a membership to Embrace the Funk to get into their festival now,
Oh,
which,
wow.
again, that was one of the coolest things beer-related that I've ever attended in all of Nashville.
Agreed, because I was like, like I said, I'm kind of dumb when it comes to beer. I don't know what's valuable. I don't know a lot about beer. I know what I like. But there were people like cracking just like rare bottles like all over this festival and just pouring it for anybody that was like standing around. It was insane. Like I drank a beer that was from like 2005 or something like that.
No, yeah, and I think they had like an original Zima, like that was a joke that year, and they were kind of pouring that. People just stick their cups up, and the guy's standing off the back of a truck like he's got like meat or drugs or presents for kids. I mean,
and you're just trying to get a splash of some super rare beer that you don't even know what it is.
That is, and if I'm not mistaken, was that the year that you had to go to the Yazoo Brewery, get on a shuttle because they wouldn't tell you where it was?
Yes.
Turns out it was in their barrel warehouse where they barrel aged these sour beers, which if I'm not mistaken was off like Nolensville Road or Thompson Lane, or it was something like that.
You know, I don't really remember because we took a bus there and then things got super hazy after that.
How many Zimas did you have?
Like 13.
Yeah, don't remember how we got home, but the Embrace the Funk series has been around for quite a while. In fact, if you are into barrel-aged sours, like the types of things that you would get out of Asheville, North Carolina, like the Wicked Weed beers and things like that, I think Embrace the Funk has surpassed that.
Yeah.
I think they make bombers that are incredible. I still have a few at my house from years and years and years ago that I still haven't opened. I don't know why. One day when I'm celebrating something, I'll open that.
Well, they're immediately better because they haven't sold out yet.
Fair enough. All right, now we're going to get to the portion of the show where we are going to rank the 5 beers as well as their 5 tap rooms. I hope all 5 breweries are listening right now. This is where it comes down to it. If you have survived everything that we have done in this podcast so far, we thank you, and this is what you've all been waiting for. Juicebox, get us kicked off with your 5 favorite beers. We're going to go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 1 being the best, 5 being the worst. What do you got?
Okay, I'm not going to dilly-dally around. Just Tennessee Brewworks is number 5. I was not digging that Hippies and Cowboys IPA. Tailgate, number 4. It was all right, but it wasn't great. Number 3, I'll go Hop Perfect because I do like that beer, but I think Yazoo has better IPAs. Number 2, Mixed Greens. Number 1, Bearded Iris Homestyle because Bearded Iris makes the best beers in town, in my opinion.
All right, Dana, what you got on beer?
All right, number 5. I hate to say this aloud, but Yazoo was my least favorite. Then the Tailgate Southeast IPA. Then Tennessee Brewworks. Hippies and who's? Hippies and what? Trucks?
Cowboys.
Hippies and cowboys?
Cowboys and Aliens?
Yeah.
No, it defines Nashville. Hippies and cowboys.
Okay. All right. And then, okay, I have a total tie with the Southern Grist and Bearded Iris. Like, I don't know how to choose between the two. It feels like choosing the child you love more.
Yeah.
I, like, on both of them, actually, I wrote 9 thinking that I would choose a 10 over the other, and then I crossed them out and wrote 10s because I love them both.
So they're tied.
Yeah, so that's mine.
Okay, fair enough. All right, mine is probably going to be a little bit different. I am going solely off taste, what I like to consume, which is what we all should do. Number 5, Tailgate Brewery. Man, that aftertaste kind of set with me. I didn't really appreciate it. I love what you're doing. I love the idea, not necessarily the beer. Number 4 for me is Bearded Iris. I think I've consumed way too much of it. I still love some of the things they're doing. I love like the hotline a lot. I love a couple of other things like these collaborations they're making or the new innovations they're making. I will always try it. 3, Yazoo, just because you've been around. I've been drinking for a long time. Number 2, Southern Grist. It was fun for me. It's always been fun. I will always go there. I love those guys. I love the things that they make.
I thought we were talking about the beer.
We are. I'm talking through the beer right now.
Okay.
And number 1 for me is Tennessee Brewworks on a surprise, the Hippies and Cowboys.
You're in it for the name.
I'm not.
You're in it for the name.
Really
You're drinking
am
that
not.
name.
I love Hippies and Cowboys, and I will take that any day over the rest of these beers if I am drinking. Now, there's a difference between drinking and having a beer.
For sure.
If I'm drinking, I'm drinking Hippies and Cowboys.
Okay, but you can have a beer with Southern Grist or Bearded Iris and have the exact same effect as drinking.
But you can't have 6.
That's what I'm saying. You only need 1.
So those are my rankings. 5, Tailgate. 4, Bearded Iris, 3 Yazoo, 2 Southern Grist, and number 1 is Tennessee Brew Works for me.
Yeah, we got it.
A little bit different. Now let's rank the tap rooms because atmosphere is a lot when you go to a brewery here in Nashville. We'll start this one with Dana.
All right. So I have Tailgate as number 5 simply because I've never been to any of their locations. I wasn't invited with my
That
husband,
makes
apparently.
sense.
4, I actually have Bearded Iris. I do love Bearded Iris's tap room. It kind of feels like a college basement.
Okay.
But I'm into it. Number 3 is Tennessee Brew Works. I like that it's downtown. I like that it's more open. They also have a really good menu. I think of
Farm to table.
Yeah,
I'm glad you touched on that. They do have good food.
Southern. Then number 2 is Southern Grist. I love it. And number 1 is, of course, the Madtown fave Yazoo.
All right. Juice Box, what do you got?
Pretty much the same as Dana. Tailgate is all right, but I haven't been to the Walmart version or whatever.
Is that one still open?
It is still open off Charlotte Pike.
I feel the same way about Bearded Iris. I like Bearded Iris Tap Room a lot. It's not super family friendly. I mean, we've taken our kid there. We went there with some of our friends who had like a 3-year-old one time, and the kid just like took off. Like a rope was not holding him back from the brewery area, so this kid just took off and was like running back in the brewery equipment. 2 was Southern Grist. 1, obviously, Yazoo.
You missed a 3, I feel.
Oh yeah, Tennessee Brew Works is I don't know. Tennessee Brew Works might be better than Southern Grist actually, as far as their tap room goes.
After I started talking it through, I think I'm with you there.
Yeah, we just have a special bond to Southern Grist, so that's why it seems better.
It hurts your heart to give them anything but a 1.
It does. I'm going to go Tailgate number 5. Again, they've got 3 properties. It's great. I've been to 2. It's just sterile. Number 4, I'm going Bearded Iris. It is cool. A lot of people have an issue with the smell. They do have great artwork on the wall, but I do love it. I love the Nintendo 64 that Juicebox touched on earlier. Number 3, I'm going to go Tennessee Brew Works, just because of the live music aspect, the fact that you can see the brewery while drinking. And then number 2, you only get this Southern Grist because we are loyal and we've been going there since the beginning. And again, the talkability, the fact that I took my kid there, the fact that I've been there before and after many great events. Number 1, Yazoo, you win. You have built a great place here in Madison, Tennessee. Anybody out there that's listening, if you have not visited the new Yazoo in Madison, you really are missing out. Even today's time of during COVID and the election and everything else that's going on in our world. It's time for you to come on out to Madison. We're doing a lot of great things out here. Get some beer, enjoy yourself, but we really had an amazing time.
Hey, excuse me, what IPA do you have on tap?
Tasting some IPAs today. We really appreciate Dana for coming on the show. It's always a pleasure to have her on again. And always, wherever you are listening to us today, feel free to take 30 seconds to like us, rate us, do whatever. We're on socials at Raising Nashville Podcast. We're back here every single Monday. We've got some really special things coming your way over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, so stay tuned, stay relevant, stay sober.
Stay relevant?
Stay sober?
Where's this going?
Says
the guy who drinks 12 Founders a night.
This is what happens when drinking's involved in our podcast. Thank you so much for listening to us. We will see you guys next and every week.
Shawty came through sipping IPAs like all I didn't know was that time of day. And I wasn't trying to party, but it's much too late. Like fuck it, I'ma grab one too. Bada down, bound, down. Like what's a goddess gotta do to get with you? Like what the down, down. Like fuck it, I'ma grab one too. IPA sipping, ripstick riding in the pool, playing chicken. Neighbors told us to be quiet in the hot tub, taking their tops off. Ride around like Monica, the kid getting topped off. Saw the homies pulling up, bass bumper. What's that sound? A bump, bump, a bump on. It's a new Chris Brown, you know. I'm faded. Got a girl from Pace who majored in communications. Now she's 22 and she's finally graduating, and she plans to get a PhD in fucking frustration. Stressing out, she hates it on a daily basis while I'm chilling playing shows. That's the way it goes, but she put up sipping IPAs. That's the way she rolls. Shawty came through sipping IPAs like